If you've been looking at moving to Wyoming, you've probably heard this before. It's the most free state in America. But what does that actually mean in real life? Because depending on who you are, that could either be the biggest reason you move here or the reason you don't. Hey, what's going on everybody? My name's Austin Arnold and I'm a local realtor here in Cheyenne, Wyoming. And on this channel, I help people figure out what it's really like to live here before making a move. And today we're breaking down whether Wyoming is actually the most free state. And more importantly, what that looks like day to day if you're living here. Let's start with the big one that gets everyone's attention. One of the biggest reasons people consider Wyoming is the tax structure. Wyoming has no state income tax, which means more of your paycheck stays in your pocket. Property taxes here in Cheyenne are also relatively low compared to a lot of other states, especially if you're coming from places like California, Texas, or even parts of Colorado. And there's no tax on retirement income either, which is a big deal for people planning long term. From a cost of living perspective, this gives you more flexibility. You might be able to afford a larger home, save more, or just have less financial pressure month to month. But here's the flip side. Wages in Wyoming, including here in Cheyenne, can be lower depending on your industry. So while you're saving on taxes, your income potential might not match what you're used to in a bigger metro area. So yes, there's financial freedom, but it comes with trade-offs. Wyoming is also known for being a very hands-off state when it comes to regulations. Whether it's business, land use, or personal choices, there's generally less government involvement compared to a lot of other states. You'll notice this in small ways pretty quickly. Starting a business is relatively straightforward. There's less red tape in many industries, and culturally, there's a strong mindset here of live and let live. In Cheyenne specifically, you'll see a mix of that independence with just enough structure to keep things running smoothly. It's not the Wild West, but it definitely leans more towards personal responsibility than heavy oversight. The pro here is obvious. If you value independence and don't want to feel overregulated, this is going to feel refreshing. The con is that you may not have as many built-in services or protections that you might be used to in more regulated states. Some people see that as freedom. Others see it as a lack of support. Now, gun laws and individual rights are another area where Wyoming stands out. Wyoming has very friendly gun laws, including constitutional carry, which means you don't need a permit to carry a firearm in many situations. For a lot of people, that's a major part of what they define as freedom. In Cheyenne, this is just part of everyday life. It's not something people make a big deal about, it's just normal. Now, depending on your perspective, this can either be a positive or a negative. Some people feel safer and more empowered, while others may take time to adjust if they're coming from areas with stricter laws. The key thing to understand is that culturally, Wyoming places a high value on individual rights and personal responsibility. Now, lifestyle freedom and space is something that doesn't get talked about enough. Freedom in Wyoming isn't just about laws, it's about space and lifestyle. Cheyenne is not a crowded city. You're not dealing with heavy traffic, long commutes, or packed neighborhoods. You've got room to breathe, and that alone changes your day-to-day experience. If you want land, you can find it. If you want to be left alone, you can absolutely do that here. And even within Cheyenne, different areas offer different levels of that lifestyle. You've got neighborhoods closer to downtown that are a bit more connected, and then areas on the outskirts where it starts to feel a lot more open and rural. There's also a strong outdoor culture. Whether it's hiking, hunting, fishing, or just being outside, you've got access to a lifestyle that feels a lot less restrictive. The downside, if you thrive on constant activity, nightlife, or big city amenities, this kind of freedom might feel more like isolation. Now, here's where things get interesting. Wyoming is a very independent state, but Cheyenne still has a strong sense of community. And with that comes certain expectations. People here value hard work, self-reliance, and respect for others. It's a place where people generally don't want to be told how to live, but they also expect you to carry your own weight. You'll see this during events like Cheyenne Frontier Days, where the entire city comes together. There's a deep sense of pride in the local culture and way of life. But at the same time, Cheyenne isn't as anonymous as a big city. It's smaller and word gets around. So while you have freedom, there's also a level of social accountability that comes with living in a tight-knit community. For some people, that balance is perfect. For others, it might feel a little different than what they're used to. So, is Wyoming actually the most free state? Here's the honest answer. It depends on how you define freedom. If freedom to you means lower taxes, fewer regulations, more personal responsibility, and space to live life on your own terms, then yeah, Wyoming is probably going to feel like one of the most free places you can live. But if you define freedom as access to more services, more opportunities, or more built-in infrastructure, you might feel like you're giving some things up to get that independence. Living in Cheyenne specifically gives you a bit of a middle ground. You get that Wyoming freedom, but with enough city structure to make daily life convenient. At the end of the day, it's not about whether Wyoming is the most free, it's about whether it's the right kind of freedom for you. If you're thinking about making a move to Cheyenne and you want help figuring out if it fits your lifestyle, your budget, and what you're looking for long term, feel free to reach out. I'd be happy to help you navigate the process. And if you got value out of this video, make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.